Hello, and you're very welcome to another Women's Rugby Pod. I'm Johnnie Hammond, and alongside me again this week is an absolute superstar of a guest co-presenter. It's none other than the England captain, Sarah Hunter. How are you, Sunter?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me back on.
Well, you did such a marvellous job last week that we just had to bring you on. It wasn't the fact that nobody else was available. It was great stuff. Look, we've got another packed show again this week. We'll have a look back at England against Italy in your company, of course. Great to see you back out there. We'll have a look back at Ireland against Wales. Not only just your thoughts, but also the thoughts of the Wales coach, Warren Abrahams. He's on the pod. Jenny Murphy, the Ireland superstar, she's coming on the pod as well. Not only look back at last weekend's fixtures, but look ahead to this weekend's fixtures as well. We've got looking at the Allen's Premier 15s fixtures as well, all your news and shout outs as well on what is a very busy women's rugby pod. But it would be remiss not to start over in Parma. How good was it being back with that red rose on your chest again, Sunter?
Yeah, it certainly meant everything. You know, I think it's been widely reported about the difficult year that I had with different injuries along the way, especially the neck injury that I had that just went undiagnosed for months, and spoken about whether it would stop me from playing. So to actually finally pull on that shirt and walk out and sing the anthem and play for your country was a very special moment.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's a hell of a long time out at any stage of your career, and when you've got 123 caps, I mean, just pure greed that you want more. But no, look, you and I have spoken before, haven't we, about you're earning your right in that squad, earning your right in that team, and you know, I think I speak for quite a few listeners and viewers of women's rugby. You're just like a big comfort blanket over us, all us England Red Roses fans. You know, you're back in the side. It's like putting an old pair of slippers back on. We know the fit. It fits well. It's cozy. It's comfortable. It's what we know, and that kind of resonated throughout the team. I think that first half, England had a lot of pressure, and I think that would have got to the team more if you hadn't been on the field. How was it out there?
Very kind of you to say, Johnny. I think what's great about our team now is that we are really developing leaders, and they certainly obviously make my job a lot easier being out there and trying to help sort of guide the team when it might not be going the way we want, especially against Italy in that first half. You know, we'd spoken about the week, and I think we spoke on the pod as well, just about what a difficult proposition Italy can be, and especially away from home as well, or us being away from home anyway. And they certainly did that. You know, Giada said they'd been training and spent a lot of time together and working on new things. And they certainly came out with a lot of energy, a lot of like intent to play. And they did make it really difficult for us. You know, we allowed them to play. We probably didn't challenge them enough to try and get the ball back off them. So they went through multiple phases. And then our attacking game probably let us down the most significant part, because we just couldn't keep continuity of it. You know, a real strength of ours is we can keep the ball, we can pressurize teams, and that pressure then leads to opportunities and for us to create get points on the board, which we didn't do. And I think if you took that breakaway try from Scars and that break by Meg Jones finished by Vicky Fleetwood, it would have been 3-3 at half time. So yeah, they certainly did make us work and challenge us and ask questions that maybe we haven't been asked for a little while. So yeah, in that sense, it was a good game, and it was a good game to try and problem solve. And then the finish for that last 20 minutes, you know, the bench came on and did an absolutely amazing job to put 6 tries on the board in such a short space of time, and the manner in which they did, I think, was probably a product of the training that we've done over the last few months.
What I mean, you're a professional outfit analyst and all the rest of it, and Scott and Mitch and whatever, and Mark do a cracking job and no stone unturned, I'm sure. Would you not have spoken about that though, Italy? The Latin bar, they haven't played for a long while. We remember back last year, Argentina took on New Zealand, didn't they? And this inspirational video of them all training at home with bags of rice and what have you, and smashed the All Blacks. And I got that sense this week or last week that Italy were going to do the same. They were going to come out, rip out the blocks. Was that spoken about? Look, just weather the storm. They're going to fly out the blocks. Let's just absorb everything we can. They'll run out of steam, and that's kind of exactly what happened. That you could see the battery levels just going down and down and down and down and down.
We certainly spoke around what Italy or problems they pose when they're at home. I mean, more so probably than they travel away. In terms of the last 2 or 3 games, I think we've gone in like relatively small score lines, or I think maybe potentially even been losing. So we knew that and we spoke about it. I don't think, if I'm honest, we probably would have wanted the start that we had. We probably would have wanted to come out and had a bit more energy about us, had a bit more intensity. I don't think we create a single like standalone opportunity that we have created. So I think we'd be a little bit disappointed by that. But I think the fact that, yes, Italy had a lot of possession, they probably didn't look like getting across our try line, which I think is something we've got to be pleased about. I think we can probably be a bit more dominant in our defence rather than just keep soaking up those tackles, and that in itself takes a lot of energy out. But I don't think they got too many try scoring opportunities to get points on the board, as much as possession that they did have.
Yeah, indeed. So it was a really, really good victory in the end, wasn't it? And as you said, that world class bench. You spoke a little bit earlier about leaders, and there was quite a lot of conversation when you were going off with Skaz. There's a really nice photograph. Have you put it up on social media? Is it?
I think
you or Skaz has.
Yeah.
Just really, really. Oh, it's nice to have the boss back in town or something like that. Yeah, really, really lovely. What were you saying to her? I'm just go with it. Right, Skaz, you're going to do this, this, and this. And if you don't do that, I'm going off now, but you best do this, 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 this. But no, look, it all says that she's one of those leaders. Who else is beginning? Yeah, there's some younger players who are beginning to sort of just step into that leadership role, especially with sort of Katie gone and what have you now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like Skaz has always been there and about, and even more so now in her vice captaincy role. And she's certainly someone that I like work closely alongside in terms of like not just on field stuff, but off field as well. And then like our on pitch leader, you look at Abby Ward in terms of her line out ability, and not just that, her presence that she has, and Zoe Allcroft, as well as another forward leader, but in a very different way. And I think that's good. You need to have leaders that have different styles as well. And even I'd say like Poppy Cleal is certainly someone that is starting to step up now as well. And Marley Packer leads in a very different way. She leads from a heart and a passion. So they're some of the people that are key people that you need, and you need different people at different times just to maybe give a nod to and say like, look, like this is where you come into your own. So like a Marley Packer, like sort of trying to get that like passion and emotion and that side of things out. And then sort of in our back line, you look at someone like Helena Rowland and Zoe Harrison, who are naturally going to have to step in as leaders, and they're certainly developing that side of their game, because they obviously have to ultimately run the game. So yeah, there's certainly a group of people that are stepping up, and we're trying to work much more together in terms of problem solving, what's going on the pitch and how we fix it. Like not just review it in a day's time and say, well, what could we have done this? We're trying to do in-game problem solving to make us function and get a better performance.
Nice. Well, look, we are going to chat Scotland and Italy later on in the pod after our guests. So just want to keep focusing on England. I actually haven't even mentioned the score yet, have we? 67-3. The Red Roses beat Italy over in Parma at the weekend. Yeah, I've been useful to mention that at the top. Anyway, most people listening to this will know the result. What's the fix then? No, wrong question, and apologies. What's the polish?
What's the polish? Yeah, great. I think it's probably merging the two games together. So against Scotland, we came out the blocks and we had a really dominant first half. And then second half, we kind of momentum got away from a stop start and we just lost our way. Whereas I almost feel like it was the opposite this time round. You know, we probably didn't get the start that we wanted, and we didn't have enough probably continuity and control and accuracy to like build pressure and to put pressure on Italy, but we managed that in the second half. So I think it's probably how, I mean, everyone talks about this 80-minute performance. I'm not sure it exists, but trying to get probably more than a 40-minute performance would probably be the polish. I think our discipline in the first half still cost us. You know, I think we gave 6 penalties away in the first half. So we probably need to keep working on that. Second half was a lot better. But yeah, just I think like how we start a game and how we maintain it.
Nice. Yeah. I noticed being a Nors that I am, after watching these things a couple of times. I did Sunter Cam for the first time I watched it. Watching your every move, because I knew you were on the pod again this week. Congratulations, fine game after all that time out. There's one moment Italy got a penalty, and who's on the far touchline? Waiting, the only forward on the far touchline, out there waiting to catch the ball. Should it not get into touch, it's you. The rest of the back rows are halfway through the field. So younger players out there, watch and learn. But what I think I was just going to ask was there was times, and we can't probably get into the detail, but for me there were tiny little bits of the very, very top percentage of how you need to be World Cup winners. And fortunate enough, I was in and around 2014 and saw those minutiae that you got right, and they were there. They were present there on Saturday. Just a few little details didn't always go right, but at least they were there, and it was a huge encouraging performance from my point of view for that, because you know you are building. You just lost a piece of furniture from the number 10 slot. And that's not easy, but I was quietly impressed, and I should have had more faith with my match point predictor. But the other question, because we must move on to the other nations, as much as I'd like to talk to you about the Red Roses all day long, is after 123 caps, were there the butterflies? Are there nerves? Did your mouth go dry? I go, jeez, what am I going to say to them this time? Oh, I've been out for 13 months. Oh, I've forgotten how to do this. Was there any sort of feelings like that?
Always, Johnny. I don't think, regardless
really?
of how many times, but yeah, I just think I didn't put any pressure on myself from a game point of view. I just wanted to go out and enjoy it. I just wanted, like, normally I set myself a few little goals that I want to do, like, performance-wise. And I was just like, my biggest goal was just to enjoy it. Having said that, once I finished, I was like, oh my God, I did this wrong. I did that wrong. I should have done that better. And I was like, oh my, just stop. Just enjoy being back. So there's definitely nerves, like, which for me is a good sign. Like, when I'm not nervous, I get worried. And there's always a bit around, like, what you want to say to them, like whether it's the right thing. Obviously, haven't been around for the last games that England have played, and just knowing where the team's at and stuff from a game perspective. So there's always those doubts that go through your head, regardless, I think, of how many caps you have. And they probably still will be, because you want to get it right. A bit like you, like, you're a perfectionist. You want to do the right thing, you want to say the right thing, you want to get the team in the right place. So yeah, there's always questioning yourself to make sure it's the right thing.
And what did you say? What were your last words before you went out in the park? Do you remember?
That's a great thing. I think it was something along the lines of about how we trained and basically not leaving it, like, on the training ground, and, like, to come in. We trained hard. We want to work hard. We want to go out there and be relentless and impose ourselves onto Italy. Something along those lines.
Brilliant. I mean, it worked perfectly in the first 40. It's magic, that.
I know, maybe I should have a word. I know I spoke about half time, but that's yeah.
You dropped straight into Henry V at half time and did the job.
Yeah.
Well, what is it like at half time? Who does most of the talking? And you know, if you listen to rugby or watch rugby, you know, lots of different coaches and captains have different ways of doing it. What is it like at half time in that Red Roses changing room?
So basically we have a little minute to ourselves to just get a breath. The coaches let the physios get round, check in with you, just have a little, basically get yourself in a place where you can have a conversation, and then you split into units. So we'll go into our forwards, pick out the general points. People will probably chip in with a little bit, and then we come together, and Mitch generally leads on the things we need to work on, and then once they go out, when the staff go out, we'll probably pull together and have a final few words, depending on what the coaches have said and what I think needs to be said as we go out to the field.
Great stuff. And you're back now. Did you have a little glass of prosecco on the way back?
Do you know what? The hotel were really lovely. We got back, and we got pizza for tea, and the next thing they brought a trolley out was these bottles of prosecco, and they poured us a little glass and came round individually to the 30 tables that they had to do, and gave us a little glass of prosecco to have, which was quite nice of them.
Oh, really nice. And now this week it's no glamour. You're there in quarantine.
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
We obviously, it's part and parcel, you know, we got special exemption to fly out, but we're no different to people coming back. We've had to COVID test, we've had to fill in like one of these whereabouts forms to get back in from immigration, and now we've got to spend 5 days in quarantine, and it's so nice outside, and don't have a garden, so I'm spending my time going from the sofa to the table, so nice. Just to vary it.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. It's lovely out there. Yeah, a little bit sunburnt. So did everyone made it through quarantine, did they? Yeah, immigration. Yeah. Just a few question marks in that squad. But look, just to remind you, England beat Italy at the weekend, 67 points to 3. Player of the match was Meg Jones. Tries came from Scout, Fleetwood Dow. Harry Miller-Mills, 60th cap. What do you do if you're Simon Middleton with the back row, back 5 choices and options you have? It just because Harry Miller-Mills is one of my favourite players. Her skills are just out of this world. Anyway, congratulations to her on it was cap 60, wasn't it, for her, and mark that with a try. Bryony Cleo came on, got a try as well. Claudia McDonald and Lark Davis, and it was a big comforting well done to Sarah Hunter for getting back on the field. Well, look, let's turn our attention now to Wales. Had a bumpy couple of weeks, I think it's fair to say. But let's hear from the man in charge now. Warren Abrahams is on the Women's Rugby Pod. A very, very warm welcome to Warren Abrahams. Thank you so much for coming on the WRP, Warren. How's things? All right?
Yeah, not bad. Firstly, thank you for having me. It's going well, obviously, as tough as it is. But we keep believing, and we're learning, and we keep growing. That's what we can do. So now we're in a good place.
Yeah, absolutely. We're whizzing around. We're trying to cover all the nations because we like parity on the WRP. So yeah, short and sharp today. We're just going to pile straight into it. How was Ireland for you? Your assessment now? What we're Tuesday, aren't we? Tuesday afternoon. Now the dust has settled. Your sort of emotionless response to the game. Let's put it that way.
No, it was a credit to Ireland. I think they turned up. They turned up in pretty good shape. We have to say they've put a lot of work in. You could see it there, and they had a really good start to get those 3-4 scores as quickly as they did. And then, we just got caught out napping a little bit. But all credit to Ireland. I think we can take we can take a lot of positives from that second half. But we sort of gave ourselves a really uphill battle there, and you know, when it's as tough as it was at halftime. But look, I'm still proud of the girls. They sort of they stepped up really well in that second half, because they could have easily sort of gone the other way. So I'm really proud of them from that perspective. But we also learned some really good lessons there. Ireland is an amateur team as well, so they put a great benchmark for all of us individually, from the coaches, management, players. So it's a great challenge. We're so early on in our journey, but we can take a lot of lessons from that one. So in context, as you say, we're very early on, so we just got to keep believing and keep going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the utter nonsense that's been thrown around social media, and literally something has to be done. You don't know the bigger picture. You're immersed in the women's game. Sunter's immersed in the women's game. I'm immersed in the women's game. I don't know the big picture. Not everybody knows all the bits and pieces. To start throwing mud around is just disgraceful. I just wanted to make that really, really clear. But you must have seen some improvements from over in Van to the Ireland game. What were those improvements for you, Warren?
Yeah, so look, it's a tough one to sort of really break down, because we shipped 96 points in the two games, but then there was some critical moments both in our second halves where the girls sort of showed that hunger and fight and some really great character there. So the curiosity now is around, how do we start like that, or how do we bring that into everything we do from the very start in these test matches? Also, the way we trained, we all thought we prepared really well and we trained really well during that sort of post France in preparation to the Ireland game. So it is that potential. There's so much raw potential there. So they're just scraping the barrel. It is there. It's my job to uncover it. I got to keep pushing them to believe, you know, we can. I always say to them, we just need to focus on what we have and what we can do at this moment in time. Like you say, people can talk and scrutinize us as much as they want. We got to focus on what we have, and we got to make the most out of what we have. But from an attitude and sort of behavior perspective, there's some really good moments there. There's some good moments when we start putting our sort of this freedom we want to play with, where we showed their glimpses against Ireland as well, glimpses against France. It is there. It will come. It will come good. We just got to keep believing. But there's enough there for us to. As hard as it is, you know, in these moments, it's easy to sort of not find those stuff.
Yeah.
And as hard as it is, I've got to find that, and I've got to work with what we have there, and really sort of put everything in context, and really push forward, because it's an exciting project. It's a long-term project. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's the curiosity. That sort of fuels me every day. And I gotta keep fueling the girls and keep giving them that belief. You know, they've had an incredible tough journey the last 4 years. If you look at sort of the transition of coaches, the instability, everything they had, and I feel for them a lot with that. But that's in the past. I believe we're in a good place. We reviewing and really looking at in depth at what the infrastructure looks like and how we can use the infrastructure to make the national team better, and what we need to do from that perspective. So there's good lessons, but I think the biggest one from from that is we got to use France and we got to use Ireland as benchmarks if we want to be competitive with the rest of the world. Then there's some individual responsibility. Although we're amateurs, we it's only the coaching staff that's full time at the moment. So our players are amateurs, but we don't need to adopt an amateur mindset. There's some really cool bits we can do individually ourselves, as hard as it is. But look, I think the greatest thing is that character and attitude they showed in those 2 games. We got to use that to our advantage.
Just on that, Warren, obviously spoken about the second half performances in both the France and the Ireland games. I was just wondering what is spoken about at half time to come out in the second half in both games and put those performances in compared to the first half.
Yeah, look, Sarah, that's a great question. I suppose the one against France was probably a little bit more tactical and harsh, but tactically harsh, if that's a way to sort of, because we did miss a number of opportunities where we created stuff in the France game. So it was a sort of a probably more tactically smarter conversation, but harsh. Where on Saturday it was probably one of my most uncomfortable halftime conversations I needed to have with the girls, because look, it was just not good enough. But we all need to take responsibility. You don't start test matches in that manner, and I think we pride ourselves on our unity in our squad, and we probably went away from that a little bit in that one. So it was a tough conversation at halftime, and like I said, really uncomfortable for me personally as well. But I had to make sure that I was emotionally in a good enough space to be impactful with the words I wanted to get across, because that's always the hardest bit as a coach as well. And with the way the game was going, you could lose focus because it was going wrong, and it was going wrong rapidly, and I'm trying to really sort of keep my focus so I can still be present in the game, and that was the hardest. But look, it was tough to have that conversations with the girls at halftime. But I'm just proud with how they responded in those moments, and look, it says a lot of where we are as a group to be able to bounce back like that.
Definitely, they certainly had impact and effect for those second half performances. That's for sure.
What you're striking me, and what I've heard from my inside sources that I have everywhere, Warren. Honestly, no, I don't at all. You're not the kind of person who's going to probably answer this question, or certainly not with a flamboyant bat. But anyone particular in the lead up to this Six Nations in those 2 games that stood up? You think, well, you know, Joanne probably aside from that, because we know what an incredible leader she is on and off. Are there enough people to hang your coaching hat on, to hang Wales's hopes on? Are there enough people in that squad that you can build around?
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, we're so early on in this journey. But you look at some of those young. You look at Mac Davis. There's only a second cap come up so early. Only what 18, 19. I think she just turned 19. You look at Caitlin Lewis, who came on in the second half. Neve Terry. So there alone is like 3 incredible young players that that's hungry for success and hungry to play for Wales. Obviously, you got. I think our big thing is we've got this really good blend of young players. If you look at our age profile of our team, I tried to work it out today. We probably, our average age is probably 23, 24 at the moment. So if not less than that. So we got a very young squad. You look at Robin Wilkins, who had a 50th cap at the weekends. He's only 26. He's just turned 26, and obviously that 50 equivalent, Sarah, you'd know, in the women's game versus the men's game, that is that number of games alone there. So look, we've got and what I've seen from this group over the last 3 months now that I've worked with them, I've got a lot of belief that I can. I've got a good group of young people here that I think will come good. I just got to keep believing in them. But the key thing here for us is they need to start believing. You remember, it's Sarah, you're in a position where you've won a lot of stuff over the number of years now. So you understand how to win. A lot of my girls that I have at the moment, if you look at the trajectory, we've probably won 2 games in probably 11 years or something like that. In the Six Nations, you then go the number of tries they scored within this game, in these games over the trajectory. So there's a lot of stuff there, and we need to now learn. We need to learn how to score tries when the pressure is on. We need to learn to probably step up in critical moments. We gotta learn to win games. These things take time, and I think with some stability, consistency, and what I had, because sometimes I stand there on the field and I go. It could be a good example. I showed them against France, for instance. If you look at every time we had the ball, or from our set pieces and the way we tried to play in that particular game, with the number of missed opportunities, and you go, girls, there's the evidence. The evidence suggests the opportunity is there. We just got to make the right decisions. However, to get to that level of this tactical decision making at international rugby, we need support, and we got to keep building, and we got to keep going. But I'm excited about the age profile of my team at the moment. And like I said, it's a long-term project. we just got to keep working at it at the moment, and they will learn how to win, and they'll learn to be competitive in the tough stages. If that answers your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely does. I think you had one other question in there, Sunter, didn't you, that you wanted to fire at Warren?
Yeah, just on the back of that, just in terms of obviously talking about future plans, and I just want to know, in terms of, like, say the next 5 years, what is next for Wales? Like, what's in? So you're obviously new in the job, you've got exciting challenge ahead of you. Obviously, I'd imagine the WRU on right, like this goals or plans, like the next 5 years, you take it on and go, I want to do this, I want this to happen, I want maybe this type of support. Just but in the next 5 years, what would you want to see from Wales?
There's a number of things. I think our long-term vision is we want to be a top 4 team, and there's no reason we can't be a top 4 team. If we look at ahead at 25, 26 Rugby World Cup post that, there's no reason we can't be there. However, as you know, to be able to get there, we got to look at our infrastructure. We got to look at our player depth. We got to look at the pathway. How clear is this pathway into the national team? At the minute, our depth is just not good enough, and we know that you can't have 1 or 2 players in a position to compete for a national team. That's just not good enough in my view. So we got to go back to that pathway and really build this pathway. So it might take us a little bit of time to sort of redevelop and establish this under 18s, under 20s, because these are the tough questions I asked when I first turn up. Where are they? You know what I mean? Where's the under 18s? Where's the under 20s? Where are they? I need 10 front rowers to go to the Rugby World Cup if the Rugby World Cup was still happening. Where are they? So, and that's part of my responsibility coming in now, is to really look at that infrastructure and how we build. So how do we look after the group of girls that we do have? How do we add to that? How do we create more competition? This year was our first year that we have probably 90% of our squad obviously playing in the Allianz Premiership. So that is an added bonus. Now we got to start building this conveyor belt so it can come through. So perhaps 2025 is ambitious, but I believe I added 3 apprentice girls to the Six Nations squad who's 17 years old, and they've got ridiculous potential. So you already go excited there. But the under 18 community game just opened up as well. So I don't know what I'll uncover there, but I'm 100% sure they're there. I just got to go and find them. So there's a lot of stuff along the way, and then we also need to look at where the game's moving, because obviously the game is moving into a professional level, but we got to be really smart with how this model fit in with Wales women, so we get that right. Because I'm a strong believer, if we get this model right, we'll benefit from it in the future versus just throwing something at it. And we could learn lessons from what England did in the past. There's some really good lessons there, and how they had to regroup to be able to go again. So we just got to be really smart with how we approach these next few years. And I think the biggest blessing we had was the Rugby World Cup being postponed. I think it was, I'm a big believer in, within adversity there's opportunity, and the opportunity to reset, and time is one of the greatest things for us at the moment. So now we can really sort of press the reset button and look at what we can do, because there's loads of potential. I mean, we're talking about the WRU, that is, it's the men just won the Six Nations, so it's a proper union. We just got to get the infrastructure, and the brilliant stuff now is we had the CEO in the last few weeks. We had the chairman Rob Butchers in, our chair of communities in and around. We had Wayne Pivig in. There's great interest, and my role is to close that gap, so we can benefit from each other's programs, and we just need to make sure that obviously we look after what we have at the moment, and we support them to the best of our abilities. But you spoke earlier there about the exciting youngsters who's coming through Loughborough. There's some really good, exciting young players coming through. And it's my responsibility to make sure I find and I nurture them as we go ahead.
Well, I can safely say anyone comes in front of you and speaks to you, your enthusiasm and passion is utterly infectious. So if that's half the battle, then you've won that already. Well, I'd really like to chat to you further, as I think we said just before you came on, that perhaps we'll do a pod once the Six Nations has gone off, and we can have a more in-depth chat about you and yourself and whatever. But I think it's worth noting that that girls team, and a lot of those players have been in, I think it's a point you made earlier, utterly rudderless for about 3 or 4 years. That's a really difficult place to pull them back from, and people have got to realise that. And 45-0, whatever. It's tough reading, but you're coming back from a place of real bleakness and real rudderlessness, and if there is such a word. And remember, Wayne Pivac back in the autumn, everybody wanted to sack him. Now he's Golden Ball's coach, isn't he? Because he's won the Six Nations. So it does turn around very quickly. And I do, utterly engaging chatting to you today, and thank you very, very much for your time. And we wish you all the very best for that final and beyond. And yeah, we'll catch up with you again soon here on the WRP. But thanks for your time today.
No, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome, top man. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, really engaging to talk to Warren. I know we've both got sort of connection into that Welsh camp, and he comes with a big reputation. But yeah, for me, I think I've said it on this podcast before. But Steve Hansen asked, he's got a room full of the top coaches, who's going to be the best coach in the room? And he said the one who's most emotionally mature and therefore able to deal with people the best will be your best coach. And yeah, that's kind of right up his street. And you got that sense again there. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think obviously some of the girls in the Welsh camp, but also he was involved in the England Sevens program, I think, for a little bit. And I've heard nothing but good comments about his coaching, but like you say, more importantly about his management of people. And I think from an outsider looking in from Wales, that's probably what you need at the minute in terms of how do you get a team to perform and believe in themselves and to come back from results like that. He seems like the right man to do it.
Yeah, and as I said while he was on, they have been utterly rudderless, and a coach disappears and nobody knows why, and then they don't have a full-time head coach. It's people filling in, and it's no way to run a national side. I know you probably can't say too much, and it probably would be appropriate for you to say, but just utterly rudderless, and it's like turning an oil tanker. And right now, it's sort of coming that way, but who knows? It might get stuck in the canal.
Yeah.
Hey, that's brilliant. Topical. It's magic. No, but I think he realizes that, and I know that they've lost a few people in that kind of pathway. Ryan Jones was involved, wasn't he? Caroline Spanton, who was doing some really, really good stuff, left in another sport now. Charlie Watham, who again we'd like to get on the pod, is talking about this pathway, but he realizes, I think you can tell from that, the scale of the job that he's got. He needs to go right to the very roots of where he's getting players, right to the very top, and shape it himself for the future good of Welsh women's rugby, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But he seems like he's totally on board to do that, like so enthusiastic and so passionate about what that Welsh team can be. And you just got to look to the Welsh women's teams of the past and the men's team. It's a small country, but by God, does it produce rugby players? So they're definitely out there somewhere, and he strikes me as a good person to go out and find them and develop them and get them playing for the senior team. And anyone with that amount of passion and motivation and enthusiasm, you'd think is likely to be successful if he's given that right support to do that as well.
And there is the key question. We will leave the Wales chat on that key question. Speaking of support, Sarah Hunter, are you a Flog It fan?
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever watched it.
What?
Don't think I've watched it.
Honestly, I always think it's best to, because I don't get the full detail of the program the first 5 times I watch it. So always like to watch it just that 6th time, just to get the full detail of it. Look, we're being flippant, but I'm just, I actually really don't know how to express my feelings of this, which is, it's unusual for me. I normally just use loads and loads of words, but and excuse the rant, but this is gonna be a rant, and I do it, and I say it because I think people like you, who pulled on that white shirt 124 times, and majority of those has been an amateur, so you've worked to the level to get to to be an athlete, to represent your country And there's so few people that do that, basically in your spare time as an amateur. And now we're moving into a professional league, professional times, and we have the Six Nations tucked away on an iPlayer, and we have a broadcast, and I've been involved in one of them, and you know, I say these kind of things, and you know, who knows whether they want to have me back in or not. But Joe, I think it needs to be said. How can you not do a pre-match for the broadcast? How can you not do a half-time for the broadcast? How can you not have reporters? It's utter laziness. And we have offered people from the Six Nations, the very head of the Six Nations, to come on the pod for the last 7 months. I've been in contact with them for the last 7 months. What support can we give? What can we do? How can we help? Here's loads of ideas. There are people offering this kind of help. I got an answer last week. No, we don't want any help. Thanks. Okay, fine. We'll then do it properly. But if you don't come back and tell us why you're not doing certain stuff, or you know, we don't know the game, the final is at a certain location, which those in the know, but we're now being told it's because of the royal death at the moment. I mean, it's just it all leads you to believe that people don't within that organisation don't care. It is so easy to do a halftime studio. Your cameras are there. It is so easy to do a pre-match and a post-match. It is not rocket science. Your cameras are there, and you've got people, broadcasters, Sarah Orchard, Nick Keith, myself, experienced people who know the women's game, who could easily do that stuff. They do it for the Alliance Premier 15s most weeks, week in, week out. It is laziness, and therefore says, well, they don't care. And it's not like they're the bit not being offered people who are passionate enough to go and do it and could do it for them. I know, because I've done that. It utterly amazes me, and the athletes who are out there week in, week out, representing their countries, deserve better. It is insulting. So sort it out. I'm here to give any help I can with all the production company bits and pieces. But please, can we give the women's game the professionalism it deserves, the professionalism they've been showing for the last 10, 15 years without being professionals? Can we at least do them the courtesy of showing them that on a broadcast level now? Rant over, and I'll just pop down from my high horse. It's not. We don't need a reaction from you. It's not right to get a reaction off you, but just had to be said because it's just utterly infuriates me. There we go. Back to the positivity. The glass is back being half full, and now a lady who is always half full. She's as bubbly as her hair is curly. Is a former Ireland star, Johnnie Murphy. Johnnie Murphy, awesome to have you back on the pod. Last time you were in the black and white of the Barbarians. Today to match your little. Is that a little desk behind you? Very sweet little desk behind you there in the emerald green. You're representing Ireland today. How's things with you? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Can't complain. Just tipping away. We're still in lockdown here, so I'm extremely jealous of you both being able to kind of get out and about and actually have meet up with groups of people. But hopefully at some stage they'll loosen things up and we'll have a bit more freedom back in our lives, because there's only so many walks that can go on a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's keeping you busy job-wise and what have you now?
So I started a new job with Google recently, so that's keeping me kind of busy, learning a lot. My brain is mush come Friday evening from all the things I'm trying to fit in, but it's cool, really cool environment, and I'm looking forward to going into the office. But for the moment, I'm working from home, but the commute's great.
And is it like the internship? You haven't been in there yet, but is the office like the internship with these weird and wacky sofas and all that kind of stuff and bizarre people in whatever clothes wandering around the place?
Well, no, I haven't been in the office, so I don't know. Yeah, it's yeah, but you get the cool hat with the little umbrella on top. So that's the only thing I can confirm.
Job done. Done. Jenny, we're going to pass straight into it. Busy old time at the moment. Six Nations. There's a bit of a buzz around it quite right. There should be. Whether that's built on sand or not is a conversation for another day. But Ireland's first hit out in this tournament. What did you make of them?
Oh, like I thought they got off to an absolute cracker start. In fairness, I think Wales had 2 difficult games, and it hasn't been the easiest for them. But that's not to take away from Ireland. I think their attack looked like the best it's been in years. They looked really sharp, and they looked in really good nick. Massive credit to the S&C there, Orla Kern. I personally think she's one of the best in the business. She's worked with the Leinster women's rugby team and the Irish hockey team as well. So she's excellent at her job, and the girls will say the same too. So it was exciting, good game. Well, from an Irish perspective, it was really enjoyable to watch. And so I'm really looking forward to the cracker next week with France, just to see we can really measure up and see where we are in the standings.
No, I completely agree with you, Johnny. Obviously, they haven't played a game since this time last year, or probably even later, since like March and Six Nations. So I think they probably surpassed everyone's expectations of how they were going to come out. So the preparation they've been doing, they just look like a really well organised team that, like, you would never have said haven't played a game for over a year. You know, they look like connected, they look well drilled, they looked organised, they looked like they had this game plan that they wanted to execute. So yeah, I was really impressed with them, and yeah, like you say, it'll be an interesting, exciting game as they build towards France this weekend.
Well, we'll look ahead to France in just a second. Any individuals particularly catch your eye at the weekend, Jenny?
Well, I have to mention my housemate, or she'll kneecap me. So, Catherine Dane, I thought, had an absolute dinger in the scrum half position. So she's not here now, but just in case she is, I'll say it later so she's seen it sort. I saw them. Like, I know I'm biased, but I thought she controlled the game really well. Like, she's an extremely smart player, and we haven't even seen like how good her box kick or her game from the boot is yet. So I think that's really strong. And then you can't talk about who didn't play well without mentioning Bevan Parsons. I thought she again was so powerful with ball in hand, looked really threatening at times. So I think there was some really like solid centre performances, but for me, they're the 2 I probably would have been most impressed with. Especially like this is like they've had internal games, but like Sarah was saying, to come off and not look. They didn't look particularly rusty, especially with the setback of like the World Cup qualifiers and stuff that being delayed. And like, you know, all international players is a build up to that. And then for that kind of setback to happen and still kind of go like, all guns blazing. And they look like they really enjoy playing as well, which is, you know, it just makes it so much easier when you're implementing your game plan. It's one that you enjoy. So yeah, it's pretty good day at the office for the housemate and the other Irish girls.
Well, I mean, they've done these 20 or so camps, so we've heard. You're there in amongst one of your housemates is there, but as you said, it seems to just not only enjoy those camps, but actually enjoy being out on the field. Has there been a conscious change? Have they worked on that, or is that just literally sort of coming naturally and spending that amount of time together?
Like, to be honest, I don't know. You're probably better asking the players, but like I know for me anyway, when you get injured and have massive setbacks, when you're eventually allowed to get back on the pitch and play, you're just so grateful, and you just realize it's just a game. You might as well enjoy it and have a bit of fun, kind of soak it up. And yeah, the girls didn't get injured, but they got matches taken away and an opportunity to play against other teams. So when you're given those 80 minutes to play a game that you love, representing your country, you know, why not do it with a smile on your face? And because it can go like that.
Happy players make better players, no?
100% agree.
That's it. My coaching badges are done. Happy days. Well, let's move ahead to France then.
Yeah.
Give me a hell of a go. Sorry to carry.
No,
my captain. Sorry.
Just going to say, yeah, you touched on it a little bit earlier, just in terms of obviously France had that great performance against Wales. You guys have done what are you expecting?
Oh, like it's going to be exciting. I'd like to think that both teams are gonna go out and play real attacking rugby, and play their own game rather than try to focus on stifling the other teams. Like Ireland have done a great job so far. They, like, we know with ball in hand they're dangerous. Get the ball to the danger players and kind of see what happens. I think it's going to be extremely physical. The back row are going to play a big part in, not just ball retention, but how clean we get good ball out to the backs. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think I'm afraid to call it now. I think before the tournament, I probably would have said France are heavy favourites. Obviously, they still are. They've got that semi-professional tag that's huge. More rest, been more time to focus on the game. When a lot of the Irish girls are, they're still working full time. But again, like the fact that you get to play. You can get a lot of motivation from that too, and you're playing against one of the best teams in the world, so you do want and expect the girls to rise to the occasion. Give it a crack.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And your take on it, Sunter?
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you think playing at home will make any difference, like in how Ireland perform, or more importantly, probably how France tend to travel abroad from away from games?
Well, probably know yourself, like the French fans, they do travel, and with COVID now and it being kind of empty seats, it definitely does dull that sway that the fans can sometimes have, that extra bit of momentum and energy that you can get. But I still think being at home has an advantage. In Donnybrook Stadium, sometimes the wind can get a little bit dodge, and having a little bit. Being used to that and having better insight into the pitch and when to kick where, and that does have an advantage in a way. And then just like not having to travel during these weird times, like it's stressful enough too. So I think all those things, they're like 1%ers. It's not enough to sway a game, but it's still enough to have some kind of impact.
Go on, let's have predictions from you both. Jenny's going Ireland by how much?
Oh, I'm going to go Ireland by 3. Keep it tight.
Wow. Sarah Hunter. I'm just writing it down for my match point predictor.
Yeah. Do you know what? I genuinely, this is honest. I don't know which way it's going to go. I know I've said that before, but like like we finished both our games. Like, right, I'm going to do my prep for our final game. And we genuinely have to be looking at both teams, because like after Ireland's performance on Saturday, like they've just properly thrown themselves into contenders for being in that game without a shadow of a doubt.
Good. We'll get off the fence. Who's going to win?
I thought I didn't know.
No, you've been on the fence so long in this podcast. You take a mortgage out of the thing.
I can't.
This is a safe space, sir. You could just like put it like that.
Say what you like.
Yeah.
I would like to play Ireland in the final. Just because I love playing Ireland. Like it's one of them, like I don't know whether it's because it's just usually they're great games. And you were saying earlier, Jen, about like having like time after like socials. Like when we've had sort of their last Six Nations games when they played Ireland, we had some great times, like with St. Patrick's parties, all sorts of different things. And I just think it would be like, yeah, I don't know, obviously you wouldn't be able to do that in COVID, but I just genuinely love playing Ireland. It's just a great bunch of people to play. Like you can have a bit of chat with them beforehand. You go do your job, come off, and then you chat with them afterwards. Like, yeah, just love playing Ireland.
Now, is that the chat because we speak the same language, or just with saying
She said exactly the same to our French guest earlier. So I mean, you believe who you like.
Yeah.
Jenny, look, we'll leave it there. We've taken enough of your evening up. Thank you so much for joining us again on the WRP. It's always a real pleasure to have you on, and hopefully we'll catch you in the flesh very soon.
Thanks very much, guys. Best of luck with the rest of the podcast and the tournament as well.
Take care. Cheers. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.
Sorry, guys. Just trying to leave
she's
the
away.
studio now.
Yeah, because now we're going to talk about you. And we are indeed. Jenny, she's great. She's great fun, great sense of humour. Enjoyed her analysis there of Ireland, and you gave some of your thoughts as well. It looked like they hadn't been away, and that's a hell of a compliment with everything that's been thrown at people. Just give us a little bit more insight into Ireland, France, now that Jenny and her housemate, who sounds quite an aggressive character, is going to kneecap her. One thing I wanted to say, Jenny was talking about there about the asking current players, whatever. We'd love to ask some Ireland current players. None of them have been released to us here at the WRP throughout the Six Nations to speak to. So draw your own conclusions to that, whether that's helping to promote the women's game or not. But yeah, that's been the situation from the Irish Rugby Football Union. How disappointing, in my personal opinion. So yeah, we can't get the current players' thoughts, which is a real shame. But yeah, to Ireland, France, that is properly tight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ireland were better on Saturday than they were in the Six Nations last year. It's like, how do they do that? I mean, all credit to them. And I felt like it was a matter of time, because if you look across the board, they haven't changed too many players since then. So is it more time together? Is it like focus? Whatever, they are literally, I think, in a really good place. I think what it'll come down to is probably, I think, the upfront battle. I think whoever can create that platform for their danger players to strike from, I think will probably get the result in the end. Like, you look at the players, like whether Boujard's going to she scored a hat trick in under 15 minutes, and then you look at Boulard, like, who's going to play? Tremoulier, Boulard. Like, Boulard looked dangerous. So they've got some really strike powers. But you look at, obviously, Bevan Parsons, like, get her the ball, and she looks like scoring majority of the time. So I think it'll come down to what happens up front and who can create the platform for their danger players to strike from.
If you're France and you're Gail Elmé, how much pressure are you going to put on Hannah Tyrrell being new to that shirt?
Yeah, well, you'd look to, wouldn't you? That you generally, your game functions if your fly half is having a good game, is controlled, generally not under pressure, especially if they haven't played in that position for a lot of time. So yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if she gets a lot of heat coming her way to stop that connection between their forwards and in their backs.
Yeah, it has been a problem position. You can only play what's in front of you, of course. 45-0 tells its own story. 31-0 at half time. Wales come back slightly stronger in that second half. But yeah, I feel that they're a complete side, and Hannah Tyrrell is beginning to make that 10 shirt a little bit more of her own. And when you've got sending Napu outside and sort of comfort blankets like that, actually it's going to make things easier. But so yeah, for Hannah Tyrrell and the rest of them, I wish her luck, because that really has been a problem position for them for some time, really, now since Nora Stapleton really stepped away from the game. So yes, great to see Ireland firing at that kind of level, and it will be a hell of a game. Ireland against France, 2:15 kickoff on the BBC iPlayer, live on the BBC iPlayer. The other game at the weekend, of course, Sarah Hunter, England captain, is Scotland against Italy. Played in both. How's it going to go?
I honestly don't know. You know, you look at the signs that both teams have made in terms of their progress. France obviously had Scotland against France had a very good performance, and that they've taken a lot of confidence into that. They've lost Rachel Malcolm, their captain, which is a huge player for them. They obviously showed some really good stuff against us and really challenged us in that second half. So, I mean, I'm sitting on the fence here, Johnny, because obviously Italy are probably the best I've seen in a long while, and how they performed. That was at home. What are they going to be like when they go away? How are they going to travel? They've got to take some confidence from playing in that first half or that first 50 minutes. Do you know what? I don't know. I think it'll be a close game, and I think that'll be good. I think it'll be good to see it. I think it'll be competitive. I think both teams will need to score points, and we'll probably have to improve their opportunities to do that. They've both created stuff. They just got to finish better, and it might come down to which team maximizes that on Saturday, I think it is. So yeah, I'm gonna sit on the fence. Sorry.
No, I mean, I expect nothing less. What if I said to you, Rachel Malcolm does play this weekend? Would your opinion be different, and therefore, how much influence does she have?
I think she has a huge influence. Obviously, playing with her, I mean, not this season, but normally week in, week out with her at club, like, she's just like often the heartbeat of a team, you know, the way she plays, the passion that she has in terms of playing for Scotland, and the nature of her putting her body on the line. I think the England game summed it up. She got injured in the first second of the game and played half of rugby after damaging her MCL. So I think that shows the nature and the character of who she is, and I think she's a real talisman player. So I think it does make a big difference, especially because I'm missing Jade Conkle as she's doing her firefighter training. It just leaves another space in that back row.
Yeah, no, I can agree. So no, I'm going to push you. Who's going to win? This is only selfishly for my match point predictor. But
yeah, I mean, you'll probably change at half time anyway, Johnny.
I did.
Oh, I don't know. I might go Scotland just because we've got a lot of lightning players in there, so I'd like to see them do well.
Nice.
I'd like to see them get a win.
Fine. Well, I'll go Italy then. Just because I love Jada's hair. There we go. No better technical reason than that. There we go. That's Italy against Scotland summed up for the weekend. Let's bring you up to speed with all of the news from around the oval world. The details for those Six Nations games at the weekend. Pool A, Italy against England, 67 points to 3. England won over in Parma. We've spoken about player of the match, Meg Jones, and those try scorers. Scout Fleetwood Dow, Miller Mills, Bryony Keogh, McDonald, and Lark Davis. Abby Dow was good, wasn't she? And really, really great to see her back on the park. Very, very difficult week, and obviously all of our love and thoughts go out to Abby and the rest of her family and friends. Had a really difficult time, but yeah, smashing to see her back out on the field. In Pool B, Ireland against Wales. 18 minutes it took Ireland to get the bonus point. Brilliant preparation that they've been having. Parsons, Constantine, Hannah Tyrrell, Napu scored, making it 31-0 at half times. Wales were gritty, determined in their defensive efforts in that second half. Had to wait to the 72nd minute to get more points on the board. Next week, Scotland against Italy at 5 o'clock on the iPlayer, and Ireland against France is 2:15 on the iPlayer. Probably should have done that chronologically, but you know, we like to mix things up in the on the WRP. So those are the fixtures for this weekend. Although there is a bit of speculation where the Ireland France game is going to happen because of quarantine rules and regulations. But yeah, we do certainly hope that one could get away. Just move it to Belfast, right? And things are okay. But of course, the Premier 15s returns this weekend, Sunter. No doubt you'll be on Zoom preparations for that. What we normally do with Berth, as I'm sure you know, as a regular listener to the pod, is I get predictions from you. So we'll rattle through the fixtures.
Yeah.
Bristol against DMP.
Bristol.
Why?
I just think they're due a win after a few difficult performances. The players that they've got probably just a little bit stronger in depth than DMP. Having said that, obviously they're missing a hell of a lot of their Welsh contingent as well. So we saw what DMP did against Wasps, cutting it close. But yeah, I think Bristol will edge it, and they're at home. It's a long way it's a long way from Darlington to Bristol.
It certainly is. Gloucester Hartpury against Wasps.
I think Gloucester Hartpury might do it. I'm going for an upset. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I think obviously Wasps are missing a lot of their frontline players. Yeah. And obviously quite a lot of their forwards. The Irish contingent. Yeah. Obviously Harriet Millen. I think and Gloucester Hartpury are at home.
Nice. Okay, Gloucester Hartpury. Yeah, I'm sticking with you so far. Go Bristol, Gloucester Hartpury too. Quins Worcester.
Quins.
Just too strong, right?
Yeah, I think again they're missing a lot of players. And Worcester looked really good against. Was it Bristol the other week? The one you did the comms for? Did they play Bristol? Worcester, Bristol?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I was really impressed with Worcester and what they've done. Yeah. But I think Quins might just have a bit too much about it, and I think it'd be quite tight. But I think Quins are probably used to sort of that winning mentality, and it's away from home as well. So going up to Surrey Sports Park and that wind and that hill up there is not the greatest place to go.
No, it's not, is it? Sale Exeter. Anyway, Exeter could put a lot of pressure on you guys now.
Yeah, I'd love to go. I'd love to go a Sale win, as it would help us out. But I think Exeter don't lose anyone really. I don't think on their 9, Jess Roberts. She's in Wales camp, but I think other than that, I think they're pretty as they are, and that's probably been one of their keys to their success this year, is their continuity of their starting 15. So I think Exeter will get the win there, unfortunately, from our point of view.
Yeah, no, I agree. Exeter, they missed Davis in the second row and Lisa Newman as well. That Sale contingent with the Welsh lot. But agree, I think Exeter will win with a bit between their teeth. And then finally, Loughborough against Saracens. A bonus point will put you into the semi-finals, I'm reliably informed. Who are you going for there?
Do you know what, Johnny? I can't not go for the team that I play and coach, can I?
No. Well, I mean, you could, but you probably wouldn't have a job in the morning.
Yeah, I'd probably get sacked.
And we don't want that.
No, we don't. We're obviously missing an awful lot of players, as are Saracens, so it'll be really interesting to see what that next level sort of down. Obviously, they've got some Canadians, we've got a couple, and for us, I'm not sure about obviously Saracens, but we've got a lot of youngsters, and it gives them a real opportunity to kind of put the hand up. They are really talented. The only thing they're probably lacking is game time and experience. So, but in that sense, they've got no preconceptions of what that game might entail. I remember Mowena telling last season, first ever Premiership game at 17 was against Saracens and was player of the match. Just had no fear, go out and play. So I know that's kind of the message we're trying to install, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Great. Well, good luck. I'm going to go Saracens purely to be different. So we've got some sort of difference in the predictions. So we will see next week, and then I'll jump up the leaderboard, see if you've gained any points for Berth on that leaderboard or not. But yeah, those. And it's Premier 15 fixtures coming at you 1 o'clock on Saturday. Stop. News from other parts of the oval world. Then Sunter was down in New Zealand. Little sevens they were playing. A little showcase sevens tournament as part of their Olympic preparations. A couple of Black Ferns teams. There was a Black Ferns 15 select team and a Manoa Pacific team playing in that sevens tournament. The weekend culminated in the Black Fern sevens playing before and after the Hurricanes against the Crusaders Super Rugby game. The game was also shown live on Sky. I'll just repeat that. The game, and this is, a come together sevens tournament, so not a sort of regular featured international tournament, whatever, shown live on Sky. They do things properly and well down in the land of the long white cloud.
That is very true. They do women's rugby extremely well. Having been down there a few times to play. Moving on to a different part of the world, there was more sevens out in Dubai with their second invitational tournament there. This time, though, the winners running out were France, who beat last week's winners, Canada, 17-12 in the final, with Caroline Bertrand winning MVP.
Oh, c'est magnifique, hein? Tu parles du français, hein?
No.
Right, good. We certainly. Un petit peu. The pronunciation was outstanding, though. A lot better than Berth we'd have from Berth. So no, thank you very much for that. Could I just check in with our match point predictors? If you want to get involved, and it does add an extra element to the game. You're watching as a fan or analysing it, or whatever, but don't score again. You're willing your national team not to score again. I certainly wasn't the weekend because I'd underestimated the second half that England were going to have. But the code, yes, sorry about that. It was history. You're not good in Italy away. I've been there when you've been drawing at half time. I know. TWRP is our code to get involved with our league, which Katie Price still leads on 60 points. Again, don't know if it's the real Katie Price. Kind of part of me would like to think it is, or hopes that it is, and the other half really hopes it isn't. But anyway, she's in the lead with some chap. Was this Gary Street?
Never heard of him.
No, don't know who he is. Obviously, just got a bit lucky in the first couple of rounds. He stays second. Berth and I down in 18th. Solid.
Yeah. Well, that's because you changed your productions at half time. That's why.
Do you know what I did? I was kind of pushing out of 45 points and reduced it down to 28 difference.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you weren't doing very well. Anyway, 18 out of 19. So I think it's really solid from Berth and I in that league. But also the fantasy rugby as well. It's brought another element to it as well. I went in with 2 locks, didn't register for some reason. No idea why. So I ended with 13 players. But I'm now up to 4th in the Women's Rugby Pod League. Berth went down 3 places. We should have that Pot Pickers music, should we? And up 4, Johnnie Hammond. Down 7 is Rachel Burford. So yeah, those are the runners and riders and standards in those 2. But yeah, get involved. It's just good fun. And if people do want to get involved, get in touch. Send us bits and pieces. So to where do they do that?
Absolutely, we want to hear from anyone out there, especially those coming back to community rugby that are playing. Any stories you've got regarding women's rugby, we want to hear about it. And you can at us on your Twitter or your Instagram, and we are at Women's Pod Rugby. No, at Pod Women's Rugby. Oh my God, I got it wrong. At Pod.
One job, Sunter. One job.
I've even got it written down. I'm so sorry. It is at Pod Women's Rugby on both Instagram and Twitter, and we also now have a Facebook and YouTube channel. So we want to hear from you.
Guys, get in touch. Just get the community feel going. I put off by Facebook. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but at Pod Women's Rugby is where you can reach us. Yeah, do send us, because it's great to be back playing rugby. I'm sure all the amateur teams. I know there's been lots of bits and pieces, people tagging us in, but you get in touch with us. We'll get you on the pod and give you a shout out. This week's shout outs
they are from Halifax Panthers Academy. So in collaboration with Calderdale Academy, student athletes can play rugby whilst earning chosen trade qualifications.
Yeah, that's good.
Amazing opportunity for those wanting to play and still pick up a qualification. There is an open evening on the 12th of April. That's happened.
Yeah, that's gone already, hasn't it? Last night.
Yeah, but there is a taster session. So the taster session is still happening on the 16th of April. So make sure you get along, and you can find out more information on their Twitter handle, which is at Halifax Panthers. So make sure you have a look for them.
Glad you got their handle right anyway. Jodie Onsley and Shauna Brown. She's everywhere at the moment, isn't she? So I have to call her Sand, Shauna Brown, because she gets everywhere. Jodie Onsley and Shauna Brown selected as 2 of the 35 elite sportswomen working with the Women's Sports Trust as part of their Unlocked 2021 program. It was a great campaign last year. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to hearing more and raising more awareness for women's sport from Jodie and from Shauna. That's about it for another week. Sarah Hunter, I think Berth back next week if we allow. I think we'll have to have a vote amongst the team. You've been such an admirable replacement. Have you enjoyed it?
I have enjoyed it, but they are certainly very big shoes to fill in Rachel Burford. She does a great job. So she's been running around getting her camps back up. So no, it's been a pleasure to stand in for her, and had a great time doing it as well. So thank you for being kind and bringing me all the way through, and definitely enjoyed the time on the pod, even if I did get the handle wrong. And I promise I won't do it. It's ingrained into my brain now.
Well, we will forgive you that, and perhaps we'll forgive you that over a glass of coffee, because this week a special opportunity for our listeners and viewers from Rugby Coffee. Cornet has been in contact and wants us all to have a nice glass of coffee. A mug of coffee. You can have a glass, can't you? Latte served in a glass, I think. But a mug of coffee. And he's given us a discount code as well. 10% off your order, WRP10. And Rugby Coffee is bringing ethically sourced coffee to the global rugby market via their online shop at Rugby Coffee. And they aim to give kids around the world opportunities to play rugby and help uplift their lives through their charity partners. This is coffee with a cause. We believe rugby and coffee brings people together, and together we can make a difference. And by the way, Cornet, I am available for voiceover work. Look, get involved in the coffee. I've had Cornet was very, very kindly sent me some here, and it's really cracking stuff. So do grab yourselves onto that with 10% off your first order. Sunter, thank you very, very much for the last couple of weeks. It's been a real privilege, a real treat for the current England captain to drop in and host our little podcast. It's been a real treat and an honour. Thank you very, very much. We will do it again soon. Good luck in the final, wherever it may be played when that gets announced. Thank you very, very much to our guests, to Jenny Murphy, to Warren Abrahams. Thank you very much to the whole of the team behind the Women's Rugby Pod, to Sean, to Tom, to Harry, to Jenny, Who am I missing? To Rugby Nut. Harry, have we said Harry? We've said Harry in there as well. Yeah, thank you very much to all of them. And we will see you next week.